To the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. Alongside me tonight, I have Professor Pixel from the Great Midwest, the real Dr. Venkman. We are discussing season 3 and the show in general, basically, of Afterlife, starring Ricky Gervais. Guys, this is a show that was brought to my attention not because I knew Ricky Gervais that well from The Office or other things he may have done, but because of you, Dr. V, mentioning it. And one thing I have to say about this after having watched the 3rd season, I think it should be the last season. I don't think there should be a season 4. I guess you can never say never in TV, depending on how things work out. But I will say this: when we've talked about season 1, 2, RDV before, I think one of the consensus is that we enjoyed a lot. Love the fact that it was only a half hour for me. I'm a big dog person. I think having that in this show being significant is great. Loved where it's filmed. It's just enough because I don't think I could take it as a fully hour-long episode. My only concern or regret is I wish it probably came out weekly, so it gave you something to kind of talk about and dive in rather than just how quickly you can pound these episodes out. But overall, I think season 3's good. It's got some great stuff in it. And I'm not going to be too big of a spoiler head here, but overall, I liked it, but I hope it stops here at this point, too. I think we've learned a lot in the 3 seasons. So let's go around the horn here. RDV, since you're the one that recommended this wonderful show to us, let's go with your initial thoughts here, season 3, before we go to Pixel.
This overall show has been a great show. Like I said, it's got the humor in it. It's kind of a dark humor. It's basically, it's like, as I was listening to, as I said on before I went live, Ricky Gervais said he just got into this, it's more about free speech, being able to do what you want, with all the censorship. So he made this idea, but then he's like, well, started thinking about more and more and all and stuff. And then he got the whole point where, like, what if you lost everything, and on top of that, you lost the love of your life. So that's how the show kind of got formed, and that concept really, I just learned about that earlier on his Twitter live stream. So now I think about it, that kind of makes sense, it's because I was wondering, how did he come up with this show? Because he's a comedian, and this was very emotional. It's opposite what comedy is. But and speaking on that, the first 2 seasons, there were some really dark moments where he tried committing suicide, and it was kind of sad. His dog, or the only reason I survived because my dog was hungry. The dog came in with a bowl. That he's gonna, it's, I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, like, funny how things happen. He's a guy. His character's an atheist, doesn't believe in anything. Where his wife, who died of cancer, believes in heaven. So he's just going through. He's angry, just saying whatever he wants, and it's liberating to him. So that's where we get the whole. He talks about the whole censorship. On social media, you can't say what you want without somebody complaining. He's like, I'm done with that. But I just want to point out this season, though, compared to the first 2 seasons, there were some sad points. The first 2 episodes just really hit me hard. They're just sad. I had to stop because I was watching. I was like, oh, this is so depressing. Is this guy going to get worse? He just lost his dad from season 2. His dad finally passed away from nursing home. He had dementia, finally passed. And is he going to move on with this lady who's the nurse, or is he just going to stay where he is? It's heartbreaking. But yeah, I mean, as it went on for this season, it got better. I started watching it. I watched all 4 the next I guess you say 4 episodes, and had a happy ending. I'll say that.
Yeah. Pixel, what's your thoughts on this?
I remember, I think I reviewed season 1. I didn't get to review season 2 with y'all. But coming around for this season, it's really something special. And I think this is pretty sure it was confirmed. Ricky Gervais says he can't imagine the show ending any other way. I think this is it done. And you know what? I'm fine with that. There's a small part of me, the greedy side, that's like, but there should be more. There should be more. No, it's perfect in how it ends things and how we watch this journey of a guy who didn't give a shit about anything anymore come to realize that the world around him is still worth living, even without the love of his life.
One of the things about this show, I choose not to really think too much about the super dark aspect, not of him losing his wife, but of potential self-harm. I'll just say that phrase and that's it. Okay. And I know that they briefly explored it or whatever. And the fact that the dog was hungry, it illustrates, a fact of life that, we get on paths to do things that then other things interrupt us and we call that life. And I was really pissed because like I say, as a lifelong dog owner, had many of them in my life. And I guess people may think different things about pets and whatnot too, is that they're like children in the sense that you have an obligation, responsibility, and your schedule and everything revolves around them. So you are doing things for other people. And I think here in all three seasons, one of the things I started to notice and I liked how, RDV, you mentioned how he had this filter where he could just say what he want, and he had a little bit of money, so it was FU money. If he got fired, it didn't matter. He had the house paid off, he had money in the bank, he's got his dog, he's good, right? So he can do whatever the hell he wants on his own time, but that doesn't mean you've got a happy, fulfilling life. And I like the fact that we saw him grieve in his own way, and I also like for lack of a better term, I forget the guy's name, the schlubby dude that he would go out with almost every episode.
Oh yeah,
to do one of the
I can't remember what you mean there.
pieces. I like the fact that every time he went to one, you could tell he was miserable, but that he was watching something he couldn't believe because his buddy there fell in love with the girl who's a really nice woman, and they were kind of sweet together
Lenny.
and all that. So he's watching how it's possible to have a second chance at life in a way. But then he has his morning when he's in the cemetery and everything too. And of course the loyal dog's right there at home with him every time, looking so damn cute. And the fact that it's a German Shepherd is just incredible. But when you go back and you look at the show, and I started catching this here in season 3 a lot, that, like I say, when you realize that your life is doing things for other people, helping out in a way that you can help out, and then that's how you get value out of it. I think that's the big life lesson too. It's not, oh, life sucks because I lost my wife and things are horrible and this is just how you deal with it. It's, what is he supposed to learn? He's supposed to learn that he has value in being alive. It's to help other people out, and the world doesn't have to revolve around him, but in his world, the people that he deals with, that's what it's all about. And I like how it took him literally till pretty much the last episode to kind of go, aha, I catch that or whatever too. So I hate sounding like I'm gushing over the show because I think it's a smart show the way you did it, but the way you described it too, RDV, how he just did the first season and then he found himself getting caught up into it. Sometimes things take over and you don't realize it. So much like real life, I think that's what happened with the show. But I think it's an extremely positive show. I'm surprised at how wholesome it is in a way, and I like how there's a little bit of the real life unfiltered nature to it. He can say disgusting evil things and all that too. It's not a laugh riot, it's a cynical kind of comedy.
Actually 95% of people like this on Google. That's the first I've ever seen on Google for a show, or Google users. So that's crazy. It's got 8.5 on IMDb. This show is not what you expect from a Ricky Gervais show. Although he's been in other shows before this, or not shows, but a movie. I think it was called Ghost, something like that. Or I forget what it's called, but and he was a dentist that got hit by a bus, and didn't realize he was dead. And then he was revived, and then he could see ghosts. So this isn't the first time he's touched with supernatural stuff, but this was so close to home for being like an everyday thing that people experience. Yes, there's comedy. Like the comedy is really dark comedy. Like he just doesn't care anymore. He was seeing a shrink in the first season. Actor Paul Kaye does a phenomenal job just being a douche. Doesn't care. Just the people in his life. He just it's just everyone around him is either they're just idiots. You can tell. Even his he works for a paper. He's got his friend Lenny, who he constantly makes fun of. He's dopey and stuff, and all. He's got low self-esteem. He likes to eat all the time. He's got a brother-in-law who was going through like possibly a divorce through the series, but turned around, was able to do it. and just like it's it's a fun show. I mean, but also, I mean, you also got Joe Wilkinson. He played the postman. Great guy. Such a breakout performance for this guy. I don't know if I've ever seen anything else, but I mean, just being the postman, he's like always reading. You find out he's homeless. He's every time he come over, he's like, "Hey, it's a gas bill," because he's reading his mail. I don't know. He's like, "What are you reading my mail for?" It's like, I don't know. I just did it. It's so I can. It's just funny to him, like seeing Ricky Gervais playing a guy who's basically just telling them all off. It's like, and rightfully so, you should tell some of these people off because they're idiots. And they need to remind, hey, you can't do this, say this. The girl who plays Kath, Diane Morgan, she's always in there. She's the one that's always butting her way and lying about, trying to make herself sound more important than she is. She butts into every conversation in the office. And like towards the end, he basically, Tony makes fun of her all the time if he gets a chance to, just sarcastically, and goes over her head. So finally, towards the end, I love towards the end of this, he finally realizes after talking to the lady, and always he talks to her. I forgot her name is on here, but she's always at the bench. I think it's Nanette Finch is the actress. I think her name. But yeah. She reveals at the end, she's like, Tony, like, you're my angel. Like, you're the person, like, before this, there was no one like me. He's like, well, he makes a joke. I love he says, like, well, we're in a cemetery. Anyone else could be just like you coming across. They have loved ones. But I love that she's kind of like, it's kind of like, It's a Wonderful Life in that sense, where you meet someone and that person basically like, hey, this could be worse. I'm going through and all. She just, actually, I'm going to take it back. The actor's name is Penelope Wilton. Plays Anne, and she's just kind of like his guardian angel in just a sense. She's conscious. Hey, you know what? You need to learn how to live life. Don't just mope around and wait till you die or try to off yourself. It's not. Like she said, like it's not against like Lisa would want you to move on. Still love her, but he said like she'd want you to be happy. And the one thing that makes him happy, she said, is the fact that you making other people happy is what always made you happy, and you don't do that anymore. So it's a really deep show. Every character in here is kind of kooky. You got Ken Otley. He's the guy who plays the theater thing.
Mm-hmm.
He really, like, in the third season, she just shows like his true colors, what he is. He's a con man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I love there's a wholesome meaning to every episode. You get a moral thing, and it's just this show. If anything, anybody can learn from anything, and Ricky's probably said this too, is that life may suck, but it can only get better from that point. So,
what about you, Pixel? You're the young 20-something millennial in here too. This I would tell you is a very different show than what's out there a lot too, but you sound pretty positive about your experience with it.
I am, because when I had it described to me, I obviously knew it was going to have a very dark tone, and it does carry that even into this season, and you get to see that with other characters that you get to worry about. Like Binkman was saying with Kath, we had something like that in the first season where Ricky Gervais just starts saying how, well, he doesn't believe in an afterlife, and you know what? That makes life more special to him, because every moment, everything that she enjoys, like Kevin Hart, matters to her for her life, for that short amount of time that she's got. And it carries into here when she's just so lonely and she wants someone, she wants something to cling to, but she's got really nothing at that point. And there at the end, he advocates for her for getting a dog, and then her getting a drink later with the postman, something like that. And there's so much hope, and that's so important, even though this show does carry some dark tones, and he's like off the cuff about, oh yeah, I wanted to do myself in, but now he's searching for something to live for, and he by the end realizes that every little thing in life is worth his fight, and that's why he continues. He does care about these people. It may not be in the usual way that somebody thinks about somebody caring for someone, but he does care about those people, and he's going to stick around to do it. And gosh, I really do love this show.
Did you? It's
Yeah, I think
interesting.
it's a show that I don't know that you can necessarily watch it a lot, but it's one of those shows that you watch it and you feel you're refreshed to having watched. Like, wow, you can actually make something good and wholesome and it not suck, and it be that way the entire time, not just an occasional episode or two. So all the credit in the world to Ricky for pulling this off.
Yeah, it's interesting that Pixel has that actor up there. Trying to remember what his name is.
Yes. The son who plays the flutes with his nose.
Yeah, yes. You don't have him listed on the show. As far as his actor. But he has a lot of character growth this season. He moves in with the guy who's pretty much, he's a loser. I forgot. And
is it Brian or something like that?
I think his name is Brian. Yeah. David Earl, who plays Brian. And
the Hoarder.
Yeah, the Hoarder. Well, his wife, who he loved, he admits that like she wanted, have sex with other people, and he's like, "Oh, we'll have a three-way," and like, I love how he just like invades his personal space, and his kids, like they're living together. Like he's in the bath, and he comes in there, he's like, "Oh, so you're in a bath?" It's like, it's like, yeah, it's like, dude, and then mom comes in, it's like, "Oh, do you want some cake?" It's like, "No, I don't want cake," but wait, he's like, "Wait, kind." Yeah, look after the cake, and like, this kid is like, the whole reason he find out the reason he snaps at the theater manager Ken. When he says like they're gonna have like a fair thing, he's like, "Why don't you be a hill? We'll put some dirt on your flowers." Even the mom is like, just getting down on him like that. He says he finally admits to Brian, he's like, "I don't want to be a loser. This whole thing, going to be an actor, it will make me feel better." He's like, "I'm overweight. No one's gonna like me and all stuff." It just, I love
it shows
that
a remarkable amount of self-awareness, which is the whole point to it. I think that's actually pretty tremendous.
But like I said, Brian though is just, he is such a cringe character. He's just the fact that he's always talking about his jokes. So it's like, and just like everything ends with his like, his horrible wife who was cheating on me. it's like a real like guy, like two guys, and that guy is hurting as it is, like, and like I said, it's that character shows a little bit of growth. He ends up getting a job at the delivering the papers with the kid, and like I said, it's interesting to see how these characters have their own little growth spurts. I was sad to see that the character Sandy did not come back. She was the apprentice from the second season. She played Mandeep DeLeon. Maybe because of travel restrictions with COVID, I don't know, or they just decided, but they got a different character there. Her name was Mary. But yeah, she came in and she was like the new intern, and she's just like, I'm 30 years old, and like, and I've never.
I don't think she was a bad character though.
No, she was a bad character. I'm just saying, she was another one of those characters. Like, she's like, I basically wanted to move out of my house, and just like, and she got really dark though. She's like, yeah, like I was touched by my abuse, by my dad and all that stuff, and just like, it's like a lot of left field with that character. But even then, like towards the end, you see how Ricky Gervais, just basically helps guide her, gets because she was gonna move in this place. Here, I'll go with you, and they find out like it's in a bad area. And he's like, no. So then he talks to the theater manager, and the theater manager's like, well, I have a space. The problem is that they like she moves in there, but he won't leave her alone. He's lonely too, and he keeps bugging her. I love how she complains like, he keeps coming up, knocking the door. Apparently, I just had like hold my breath. I see her move upstairs and just let the door locked because she just wants privacy. Eventually, she just does snap on him, and like he kind of leaves her alone. But like, I love towards the end though, this very last episode, like you said, when Ricky Gervais, his character Tony realizes there's, you know what, he gets out of his funk. He starts doing things for people. He gets her a couch, and just does little things, just to make him feel better. And you even see it towards the end there with he's walking with, which would be his Lisa, with his ex-wife, or not, deceased wife, but it's like a spirit, version or maybe a flashback. They're walking with the dog. It just shows that he's always going to love her, but he's realized, as even if he doesn't move on, doesn't mean his life has to be put on hold. You know, there's some because he says like I get life. The dog. It comes the end. I think the dog is pretty much the star of the show. Not really Tony. It's the dog. Shows you how the dogs. He says like if he finally admits it, the dog is the reason why I'm alive. The dog also recognizes Lisa when we watch the video together. It keeps me company. We both mourn. The dog. He says like if I don't really believe in God. It's up but if anything has a soul, it's a dog. It's the way the dog treats me, comforts me, knows when you're sad. And just and he even says like the lady at the she's like because Catherine wanted a dog. And she's like, well, is she all right? And he's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, he just said like is there such thing as a bad dog? There's only a bad owner, and she's a nice person. So obviously with the humans too, it's humans can be bad or good. But like I said, there's so many different as far as humor and seriousness in there. It's like I said, it's a fun show. It is sad though for those who lost loved ones. Watching this, it does break your heart seeing him go through this because a lot of us have probably gone through it or know someone who has. So it's like I said, this is a show. If you've never seen it, go on Netflix. I'm sure you can probably find it on DVD and Amazon too. If you look up, they probably sell it if it's not in a box set yet. And like I said, Rob said. It's 30 minutes.
No, his wife did, and now he's caring for something that he didn't pick. That sums it up there too, because those things happen in life too. Pixel, let's go for you for your final thoughts. I think RDV's was pretty on point there too. I echo a lot of them. What kind of final thoughts you'd like to share with everybody about this show in general?
If you like to have a laugh that has some kind of meaning behind it, this is definitely a show for you because it's just a good mix. I was laughing 1 minute and then the next comes
Crying.
that. No, I didn't cry.
It's okay. Real men shed tears.
real men are in touch with their feelings. But no, you're gonna get in touch with your feelings for this show because you feel so much, and if you don't, then I question your empathy. But it's truly a great story, and I'm so glad that we stuck with it because if we had just started with the first season, it was good, but every time it just kept getting better. And I think this is the best season because of how it caps off, and you feel like okay. You can let go now.
Yeah, it's wholesome and it's positive, and by that very nature makes it kind of extreme. So I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it here. It's definitely a show that's worth watching. Check it out. Let us know what you guys think about it too. I'd like to thank obviously RDV for finding this little bit of a gem of a show because it's something I probably would have passed over and not paid too much attention to it. And of course, Pixel, you got a chance to check it out too, so I'm glad you were here to be a part of this review. Great show, Afterlife season 3. Check out all 3 seasons currently showing on Netflix. For RDB, for Professor Pixel, everybody involved here at the Extreme Movie Show, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Thanks for checking out our Twin Peaks and other movies that we're doing. We've got new suggestions. Let us know. Have a good night, everybody. Stay extreme.
And if you're lonely, remember,